if you never anticipated losing a job, or you've never had a period of unemployment or a period between jobs where you weren't sure what you were going to do before you got your next job, it can be really stressful. And so recognize that it can be stressful and give yourself, the room that you might need to deal with that stress. But then keep trying things. Think outside the box, be creative. Think about what other skills you have that you might be able to put to use for another employer. It's a time of being creative.
The loss of income or a job can be a traumatic experience. Many people in the workforce have experienced and continue to experience this trauma due to the coronavirus. For some, it's the first time they've had to seek help from family and community sources. On today's Sound Living, community resources that can help when your income drops. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. K-State Research and Extension Resource Management Specialist Elizabeth Kish says that Extension has a series of publications focused on what to do when your income drops. It includes Don't Panic, Take Control, Making Ends Meet, Coping with Stress, Sharpening Survival Skills, and Using Community and Family Resources. Elizabeth, this has not only been a challenging time now, it has been a challenging time since March, really, for a lot of people. And as part of that, we're having to not only understand how much income we have, but really start to anticipate income and expenses.
That's right. I think for a lot of people, we're coming to the realization that what we all hoped was going to be a short-lived kind of blip over spring and maybe summer could potentially be a financial situation for us going forward. And it's fall, right? And fall is also a good time to take stock anyway. And so I think it's a really good time to think about, all right, thinking from now till the end of the year maybe, how do you see your income coming in? What sort of financial resources do you as a family anticipate you will have access to? As well as the other side of the equation is what sort of expenses do you think you'll have? And some of those are what we call fixed expenses, usually mortgage, maybe car payments, things that are the same every month. And then the variable expenses, which tend to be utilities, can be food costs. Other things that might be variable are gifts or recreation, leisure activities. This time of year we have seasonal back-to-school expenses. So really taking a look at what are your expenses and what is your anticipated income. It is possible that by now we've cut a lot of the extra, or what we might call the fat, or the nice-to-haves out of our budget. So we may not have a lot of give, depending on our financial situations. But you may not have, because sometimes we think, okay, well, we like to be optimistic, right? Things could get better, so I don't want to cut this. But maybe now is a time to really have some of those hard conversations with your family members and think about, what, if we want to cut, if we need to cut, where can we cut? Unfortunately, sometimes there's really not a lot of gives in our budgets, and so we can't cut our way out of a financial situation. And that's when knowing how to access community resources can be really important.
Yeah, that's really where we want to head to, is talking about some of the other things that might be available. One of those might be through SNAP. That might be an option for some.
Sure, and SNAP stands for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, and that can provide monthly benefits for low-income households to buy food that the family needs for good nutrition. And so it is income-based, and so you would have to qualify for it. In Kansas, it's known as the Food Assistance Program. And again, there are eligibility requirements. But if you think you might qualify, it's definitely worth applying and seeing if you do qualify. And as with any community resource, if you apply and are initially denied into the program, I would encourage everyone to contact the agency where you're trying to apply and ask them for some more specifics and potentially reapply if you still think you should be eligible.
There's another program called the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families program as well?
Right, and that's often called TANF, and this program can provide cash benefits and services to families with dependent children under the age of 18. This is really meant to be temporary assistance while families seek other means of support. And again, the eligibility and the benefits paid do depend on the family's income and expenses.
Energy assistance is also available in a number of communities?
That's right. Energy assistance, and if you're not currently receiving energy assistance, for example, for electric bills for air conditioning, this is the time of year as we're moving into fall and winter, colder weather, when it's really good to start thinking about heating bills, right? As much as we don't want to, maybe. And so LIHEAP can really help with that, and it does provide a one-time per year benefit. Again, benefit levels vary by different criteria: household size, household income, the type of house or dwelling that you live in, and heating, fuel, and utility rates. I would note that applications are due by March 31st of each year, so you probably are in between years, but don't hesitate to contact your energy provider, whether it's electric or gas, and just see, if you're having challenges paying your energy bills, there may be other types of assistance that is related to the COVID situation that they can offer you that you might be eligible for.
I know a lot of them are stressed right now, but food banks and food pantries are also another option.
That's correct. And yes, you're right. They are definitely seeing an increase in the number of people who are using their services, but that doesn't mean that if you need their services, you shouldn't check into it. The Kansas Food Bank is one source, as well as the Harvesters Community Food Network, if you're not sure how to locate the local food banks or food pantries in your community.
The Department of Health and Human Services also has a number of programs that might be of note. One of those would be the Women, Infants, and Children program.
Yes, also known as WIC program is another example of a nutrition program, and it does provide nutrition, health education, healthy food, as well as other services to pregnant and breastfeeding women, new moms, and children under 5. And the contact for that would be your local health department to find out what the eligibility requirements are and to apply.
Then, of course, there's always Medicaid and CanCare.
Right, Medicaid and CanCare. And again, you would need to apply for that program to see if you qualify. And part of Medicaid is CHIP, the Children's Health Insurance Program, which provides health insurance for eligible children. So even if the adults in the family may not be eligible for CanCare or health insurance, the children may be.
Unemployment insurance, most people have probably already submitted that, but I think you have to continue to keep doing that. Is that right?
That's right. So typically you need to recertify every week. And so you do need to continue your connection with the unemployment system on a regular basis. I mean, obviously the goal is that while you're collecting unemployment, that's a benefit that you have earned because you've contributed to the unemployment fund, and now you're drawing on that because you're unemployed. But the idea is, hopefully you're looking for work, and then when you find work, you stop drawing unemployment and begin contributing back into the fund again.
I've heard about the Kansas Works program. What exactly is that?
Kansas Works is a program that can assist you if you've lost a job, been laid off, or are seeking employment. And so this is really workforce development activities. So this might be an ideal time if you are realizing that the industry or the job that you had or similar jobs are not likely to come back for a while, or if you're ready to make a change in the type of work you do, the Kansas Works program might be just what you need to get started down the path to a new career.
Speaking of that, is this also a time when maybe we consider taking a job that may not be in our field, but something that we still feel safe doing?
Yeah, losing a job is a really stressful situation, and I can say this from experience. And so especially in this case when it's really no fault of anyone's, right? So much of the job loss that individuals are experiencing is a result of the economic situation, and so not really their fault at all. And so it is a time to think about, do you want to retrain? But at some point, even if you're doing job retraining or, if you're not able to find a job in the field that you were working in before, you may need to think about just taking a job so that you can earn some money so that you can pay your bills.
It's a difficult time because a lot of people have never gone through this before. Like you say, the loss of a job. Some people have not experienced that, or they've not had such a drastic cut in their income like we've had now. Is it going to be difficult to bounce back from this in terms of some people have probably drained their savings accounts and are doing some other things to get the money flowing through the system? But this is going to be a longer lasting thing than we originally expected.
Yeah, it could be longer lasting. We talk about resilience, and situations like this really test all of our levels of resilience, I think, in many different ways. But if you are working fewer hours or you have lost your job altogether, it can be day by day, right? And, what can you do today to reach out to people? We talk about developing our networks, right? And sometimes we kind of, joke about networking, but it's really true. I mean, the connections that you have with other people are likely to be the source of information for your next job. We have a tendency, and it is natural, to maybe try to isolate ourselves because we're feeling bad about ourselves, right? And that's really not going to be all that helpful if you're looking for a job. So, start small and just talk to people. And it can, especially as you said, if you never anticipated losing a job, or you've never had a period of unemployment or a period between jobs where you weren't sure what you were going to do before you got your next job, it can be really stressful. And so I think first, recognize that it can be stressful and give yourself, the room that you might need to deal with that stress. But then, just keep trying things. Think outside the box, be creative. Think about what other skills you have that you might be able to put to use for another employer. I think it's a time of being creative. One thing I would really caution against, though, when we have economic situations where a lot of people are unemployed, it does seem to bring out a certain type of fraud, and that fraud tends to be work at home, spend this much money and you get something, and then you can work at home and you'll make tons more money. I would caution people to be really careful. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So don't get taken advantage of in that way, because that just adds insult to injury, I think.
Extension has a series called When Your Income Drops. That's a series that everybody should take a look at. Whether you're experiencing problems or not, there's some great information in that series.
That's right. There are 5 different publications. What we've really been talking about are how to access community and family resources, but there is a publication about coping with financial stress, also another one about making ends meet. Even if you're maybe getting by, but you might want to try some new things or just sort of think about some new things, that might be something to take a look at. Or if your situation changes as the economic situation continues, you might be dealing with some new things that you hadn't anticipated a month or so ago.
That's K-State Research and Extension Resource Management Specialist Elizabeth Kish. The When Your Income Drops publication series is available at county and district extension offices and through the Extension Bookstore, bookstore.ksre.ksu.edu. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.